If you're clicking on this video, something may look familiar. That's because this is actually an edited version of my first ever YouTube video. Consider it a remaster almost. I kept most things the same, but long story short, my first video got taken down due to YouTube reasons. But I still love that video, so I didn't want it to go away forever. So please, enjoy this defense of Sword Art Online and an explanation behind Akihiko Kayaba's motivations. Sword Art Online is a series with a lot of issues. Ones that countless people have recognized, critiqued, and for some, have made a name for themselves ripping on. I was originally going to start this video with a joke, but after realizing that is beyond overplayed, I then planned on speaking on the infamous meta-narratives that have surrounded the series, noting its divisive nature. I even had an Avengers Endgame joke thrown in there for a bit of spice. However, after realizing that any further commentary on Sword Art Online as a think piece of popular culture would be a waste of time at this point, I decided to cut straight to it. And, since the start of a new decade, and I'm feeling a bit more degenerate than usual, I've decided to dive into the depths of depravity and defend the dead horse of the anime community, Sword Art Online. To put it bluntly, I love SAO. It was the first anime series I watched where I realized it was innately different from my other Saturday morning cartoons. It's what got me into anime. Even thinking back to it now still gives you that sweet nostalgic feeling that I think every anime fan can relate to. Despite my love, however, it would be impossible for me not to recognize the series has a number of significant flaws. But one of the biggest topics of critical discussion in the anime community at large, and to them one of SAO's worst issues, is a critique I've never really understood. The main antagonist of the Aincrad arc, Akihiko Kayaba. People take issue with his motivations for developing the game, in which he states that it's been so long I forgot. And while that is absolutely hilarious to hear from your main villain at the end of your show, I believe that when bringing in his other surrounding statements, as well as the larger context into the picture, his motivations not only become clear, but surprisingly heart-wrenching.
なぜか。私も長い間忘れていたよ。
To break this down, let's first ask a vital question. What makes reality what it is? Pleasure? Pain? Chapter 16.5? Does the taste of a delicious S-rank meal really differ from that of real life? If so, what is the innate difference? The same neurons in your brain are being activated to produce a positive reception, whether that be from a perfect slice of pizza or a signal from the nerve gear. At the end of the day, they're both simply the transmission of data to the brain. If our reality is just the responses our brain creates in accordance with whatever environment is around us, then there should be no actual difference between that reality and virtual reality. At that point, you could have a nerve gear helmet on right now and wouldn't even realize. The series explores this concept, albeit in a rather shallow way, with the interactions between Kirito and Lisbeth. At the bottom of a giant hole in the snow-covered mountain, tucked away in warm sleeping bags together, holding hands, proclaiming that at that very moment, spent together, is where their reality lies. That such a thing could exist within a mere video game. This scene would suggest that there truly is no difference between our world and the virtual one in terms of our actual experiences within it. In this way, the reality we live in might as well be a simulation created by the flying spaghetti monster, delicately crafted together with his wholly noodly appendages. Truthfully, it would make absolutely no difference to us, and we would experience our lives in the exact same way than if we lived in the, quote, real world. However, I would argue that this new world of delicious spaghetti would indeed be different from any regular deep dive VR game we might see in the future. To better describe this, let's take a look at the industry as it is currently. VR has seen a momentous boom in both popularity and technological advancement within the last few years. It's not hard to imagine that by the year 2042, we would have the same full-dive virtual reality that Kirito straps onto his head at the very beginning of Episode 1. And, while in that virtual world, we would experience sensations almost identical to those we feel in reality. However, we won't really be living within it. When we are done, we will simply take off the headset, go to sleep, and wake up the next morning for work, thinking on the events of the night prior and say, well, that was certainly fun. This leads into the single difference between our world and the VR we may have in the future. A difference that single-handedly determines and shapes what human reality is: death. I imagine Akihiko Kayaba's mornings to be something like this. He regretfully wakes up from his sleep as he stares at his ceiling for a few minutes. Not specifically thinking about anything, but knowing something is wrong. He finally decides to get out of bed. He brushes his teeth, combs his hair, prepares breakfast. A fairly common routine, but his version differs as he does not once look outside. In fact, he avidly avoids doing so. Yet, on his drive to work, he inevitably has to. He's scared of what he'll see, but he forces them open anyway. Gray. Just like the day before, and the day before that, and the day before that. And his heart breaks again. In his eyes, there is something innately off about the world. Something that he knows he'll never be able to understand. And something that he knows he'll never be able to fix.
なぜだろうな。空に浮かぶ鋼鉄の城の空想に私が取り憑かれたのは何歳の頃だったかな。あの城へ行きたい。長い長い間、それが私の唯一の欲求だった。
This is the morning routine for a lot of people, many of whom are the targeted audience for Sword Art Online as a series. These individuals often try to escape from this depression by consuming countless media, drowning themselves in the prospect of these fictional worlds where finally they can be the hero of their own story. They can be important. This concept is the main appeal of isekai as a whole. Viewers want to be Kirito and live in this fantastical world so unlike their own that they can't possibly feel empty there. To them, if they can just reach Aincrad one day, they can finally be happy. Kayaba became completely obsessed with his vision of the castle in the sky, a concept he thought up as a kid which has now become a perverted version of its initial pure self. Reaching that dreamy illusion has become his sole desire in life as he plans to abandon the reality that he was born into to finally go to that beautiful world in the sky, where issues are solved not through hurtful words and ambiguous relationships, but by the clearly visible clashing of swords. Of course, he could simply create a video game set in a virtual world. He could spend every spare moment consumed in that fantasy, but as we discussed, it will never be more than that. A fantasy. He will still need to wake up every day, seeing the same roof, looking at the same window to see that same gray world, again and again, over and over. But that, to a man obsessed with escaping from that reality, is not enough for him. And finally, we come to the heart of it all. The reason why he created Sword Art Online to be a death game. People are now trapped in the virtual world, eventually creating an economy and living within those bounds. And by implementing the concept of death into Aincrad, it no longer is just a game. He has finally bridged the gap between reality and the virtual world, and created the first true virtual reality. With this accomplished, he locks himself in as well, and thus, he has truly escaped from his world and created that castle in the sky. Kayaba shows the audience what someone obsessed with escapism can eventually turn into. Of course, I don't expect anyone will ever create something like Aincrad, but it shows the extreme lengths these people will do to live anywhere that is not where they currently are. This is where the series connects with the audience. You are meant to want to be Kirito, but in reality, you are Kayaba. It doesn't hit you over the head with this concept, however, as it recognizes that everyone needs to escape from their lives every once in a while. This doesn't necessarily have to be an unhealthy habit, but it serves a warning for those who are obsessed as Kayaba is. And thus, it comes full circle. The hero of this new world, Kirito, comes face to face with this broken man. He asks him a simple question: why? And yet, when finally forced to confront this lifelong dream of his, how ridiculous, cruel, and murderous it truly has been, he doesn't have a conscious answer. He has taken his singular obsession and deeply internalized it into himself, his everyday motivation becoming a blind scramble towards not necessarily a goal, but just an immediate need to escape. He is left with only one thing: that fantasy he had as a child, dreaming of that large castle floating in the sky. He no longer remembers the cause of his drive, as it's long been repressed, and the only response he has for Kirito is to recall that childlike ideal he once held.
地上から飛び立ってあの城へ行きたい。長い長い間、それが私。
Like I've said, there are a lot of issues with Sword Art Online. Even with this theory, some problems persist. If he so desperately wanted full immersion, then why make himself invincible? And why do his motives not get more clearly explained? I also recognize that some will view this as overanalyzation. Obviously, I'm completely unaware of what Reki Kawahara's intentions were for Kayaba. However, this is what I've at least gotten out of it. And I'm of the mindset that any work of fiction is only given meaning through the individual observer and not dictated through author intentions. To sum up Kayaba's plan, he wanted to escape from his own reality and recreate his castle in the sky, in a way that would make it a completely new reality. To do this, he had to trap players in Aincrad and implement death. He is a broken, depressed man, and one who nobody should ever want to replicate, as his own selfish motivations took lives of thousands. A warning to viewers who have become obsessed with their own escapist fantasies, and a warning to those who live within their dreams. But yeah, fuck the fairy dance arc. If you've made it this far into the video, I appreciate you. God damn it, I'm gonna say it, I might even love you. If you enjoyed the video, I would strongly encourage you to both like and subscribe. And I'm not saying that as a YouTuber. I'm saying that as your friend, your pal, your buddy from high school who always says, we'll need to chill soon, and then you still never see them again. But in all seriousness, if you did enjoy this video, there will be many more like it on the channel in the future. This is my first video, so I also promise the quality will become better once I get more comfortable with this. I mainly want to improve my audio, as I've never recorded voiceover before, and I re-recorded hundreds of times just to try and get rid of the damn mouth clicks. At some point, I just needed to realize that I had to accept my own talent level for now, or I would never get the video out. My general goals for this channel are to mix philosophical and critical thought with really any media-related thing I enjoy, like anime, video games, movies, and so on. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, subscribe.